Okay, so let's talk about Mario today, shall we? You know the one. By the way, I won't be dressed like this for every video and every topic I'm gonna make a video about. It's just cause I got this for a Halloween party and yeah, it's kind of related to the video, so roll the intro. Part 1. What Mario? You see, this is kind of funny because here in Brazil we have this terrible joke that goes like, hey, you know Mario? And the other person goes, or at least supposed to, what Mario? And then you're answering, the one that f***ed you behind the closet. No. You see, it's funny because here in Brazil, closet translates to armário. So it kind of rhymes with Mario, armário, Mario. Yeah, I know, terrible, I told you it was terrible. Anyway, I can remember last time that someone ironically fell for that. I mean, at this point, everybody kind of knows the joke. Also, because when you ask, you know Mario, the person usually goes, yeah, Super Mario, or oh, Nintendo Mario, or something like that. And I think that's the whole point. Everybody knows who Mario is. Yeah, Mario is the face of video games, what can I say? And I think that's true even when Nintendo was at its lowest. Like, you know, the Xbox, PS2 and the GameCube era, where video games were becoming something more mature, not so kid-friendly oriented. He's not the first video game character, like you had Pac-Man before him that was very popular, but also he didn't even have a name on his first appearance, which was in Donkey Kong. So it's kind of funny how this secondary character kind of became the face of video games, and I want to explore a little bit of that in that video. So let's do it. Part 2. The appeal. I hope that kinda like sounds like French, but I'm basing off all of that assumption on the SpongeBob narrator. And honestly, I have a pretty thick accent myself, so I hope I'm not being racist or anything. Anyway, as a kid born in 1999, aka the best year, come on, it's smack down in the middle of the decade. You got like the best leftovers from the 80s, then the best new stuff coming out of the 90s, and you still were young enough to enjoy the best of the 2000s. I went in a bit of a tangent there, I kinda do that. So naturally my first contact ever with Super Mario was on the award-winning, all-time favorite Super Mario Brothers. Yeah. Even though at this point I think Super Mario 64 was, you know, the hype of the industry, things weren't quite the same here in Brazil. You know, a video game console can cost up to, I don't know, 4 to 5 times the minimum wage, which is kind of insane. So you won't be giving that to a child, okay? I was like 3 at this time, 3 or 4, I think 3 years. So I got this famicon, okay? I kind of remember it very vividly, even though I was very young. It was like this bulky purple controller that would plug directly in the TV, and you had like thousands, maybe? I don't know if thousands, that's maybe a bit of a stretch. Maybe hundreds, yeah, that's more like it. Hundreds of NES video games, or famicon. I don't remember if they were in English or Japanese, I couldn't read anything. And I remember that, you know, I was exploring all those names that I don't know, have no meaning to me at all. And it was super hard for me as a child to get a grasp of those games because one, I didn't have the manual. Even if I had a manual, I wouldn't know how to read. So then I stumbled across, of course, Super Mario Brothers. And I remember that I could just play it. There was no secret, no, you know, learning curve. I mean, of course there is a learning curve, but it's a very lean curve, you know. I remember that I could play it. I could kind of immediately get the grasp of it and play it through the end. Of course, it didn't beat it on my first try, but I was a kid, I had free time, so I don't remember how much time it took me, but I beat it. I beat it. I think it was the first game I ever beat in my entire life. So that's saying something. And you know, as I said, I was like 3 at the time, but Mario doesn't care about any of that. He just works. From the moment you put your small greasy hands on the controller, you kinda know what you have to do. Go right and jump when it's required. It's as simple as that. Even killing your enemies is as simple as jumping on their heads. How can you get more simple than that? Hands and repeat until you're done, you beat the game. Awesome. That's kinda perfection. And I feel like that's kinda true even to this day. Part 3. Perfectioning what? Okay. Part 3. Perfectioning fun. I'm trying to make all these voices for this title card. We'll see if that will work. Okay, so after that famicon I just told you about, I had like these hiatus from Mario for a long time. I had a Sega Genesis though. And I think that's kind of why, for the longest time, I just thought Mario was for kids. Maybe it was that time with the GameCube, Xbox and PlayStation where, Nintendo kind of left behind. You already talked about that. I had this association that Mario was for kids and who am I to say I was a kid at this time? I had like 5 or 6, yeah, very mature. I know exactly what's for kids and what isn't. And it was not until I was 13 or so that I got my first current-gen console. That was the Wii. And I remember that when I was at the store to get it, the attendant said that I could choose a game. It was a jailbroken Wii because of course it is. I live in Brazil, what I told you about the prices. But I could get a free game with it. And I wasn't going to pick it, but he insisted that I should pick Super Mario Galaxy because it was super good and stuff. The guy changed my life. Actually, I got like 10 free games with it. Now that I think about it, kind of insane. But Mario Galaxy, I bought that stuff. And oh my god, this is where video games peaked. Fight me. Anyway, of course, it shattered every little piece of prejudice I had against Mario, because it went and became one of my favorite video game titles of all time. I would even say that it was at this very moment that I became a gamer. For those who don't know, in Super Mario Galaxy, you go jumping around these planetoids, but each of them has like its own unique gravity, and it can be confusing, because there's a lot more of stuff that you have to consider. Not only that, but it was also in another dimension. Yeah, fire that Z-axis, baby, because now it's in 3D. Remember that my last time with Mario, it was a 2D one, and now it's in 3D, and it's still easy as ever to grasp the concept of it. Did you hear anything of what I said about planetoids, gravity poles, and axes? It has no right being as simple to play and have fun as it is. And it's just fun, beating one level after the other until you beat it. This and its sequel are great games. You can play them through start to finish with a huge smile on your face. And both of them have like this super challenging final stage where everything you went through the whole game is put to the test. It's an absolutely blast. Even though you're dying constantly, you are being challenged in fair ways, And I think that sounds easy to play, hard to master. I think it's an old saying. I don't know who was the first person to say that. But that's it. That's just Mario now in 3D, and it's still as great as ever to play. How can you explain that? Part 4! Back to basics! Okay, I know 3D isn't for everyone. Heck, even when I'm playing like an FPS game, I had like this urge to puke myself sometimes. So not for everyone, we can establish that. Like I went into this whole mumbo jumbo of planetoids and gravity poles and stuff. Oh my god, what is this? Anyway, it's understandable that at some point Nintendo would go back to basics, like the title of this part, and release a 2D Super Mario Bros. Okay, so the first one at that was Super Mario DS, and I had a DS, but during that time I thought that, yeah, Mario's for kids when I play the cool games in my Nintendo DS. My first contact with this series was the Wii one, titled New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Yeah, I know, it's a given, but look at this shit. And anyway, this series is all about getting Mario to basics. And I know that it's kind of saturated now, because Nintendo released a bunch of these back-to-back. Give any of these games to anyone, well, maybe not you, and they will know how to play it, because it's freaking Mario. That's what I've been saying this whole time. And even if someone is not like super into video games, you can still play multiplayer and give a hand when needed, so it's super accessible. I'm all in for Nintendo releasing this, but for the love of God, give some flair. Go the route of Donkey Kong Country or the Kirby games. And I guess that can be confusing for a good number of people, but come on. Just give this series the old razzle-dazzle, no? Which brings us to Part 5, the future. Okay, so to finish off everything. At the time I'm recording this video, the latest games were Super Mario Odyssey and Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Oh my god, that's a mouthful. I never tried to say that out loud. amazing games on their own right, and I think they show a bright future for this series. Both of them put Mario in this kind of open environment type of world. They do it kind of differently, one from the other, but Mario is still as great as ever to maneuver around. Especially in Odyssey, where Mario is like this parkour god that can do insanely cool looking flips and jump over walls and stuff like that. While Bowser's Fury, although kinda limiting a little bit of Mario's moveset, still give you this massive world to explore with tons of stuff to discover and unlock. And I think if in the future Nintendo combine these two, they can have like this perfect formula of a game that is both enticing for casual players and real gamers. I'm gonna make a prediction here. In the next couple of years, Nintendo might just reinvent the whole open world game scenario all over again, like they did with Zelda. And I think that Mario just has the potential to go one step even further than that. Yeah, so get back to this video around 2035. Nintendo might have released it after delaying for a couple of years. And we'll see if I got that right. Part 6. The conclusion. I don't think there's one, I just wanted to talk about Mario for a while. For real though, these take a lot of time of recording and editing, and I do everything by myself, so if you like this kind of content, please leave a like or even a subscribe. And if you didn't like it, tell me why in the comments, yeah, got you there. Anyway, see ya!